If you were fixing your bra straps, fussing with wires, or battling your bra during this podcast, stop right now. You'll want to hear this. Those bra problems, those problems you thought you had to live with, Third Love has solved them. Their bras make it easy to get what you want, whether it's ultimate cleavage, a smooth look, or stopping your shirt buttons from pulling. With over 60 sizes, including half cups you won't find anywhere else, you'll never be stuck between two sizes that don't fit. So stop settling for bad bras. Now's the time to treat yourself and get your problem solved. Save $15 on your first order with code podcast15 at thirdlove.com.
Are you feeling stuck in your career or lacking employment at the moment? Experiencing symptoms of job dissatisfaction? You might be suffering from a common condition known as career stagnation. But don't worry, there's a solution. Monster.com. Monster.com offers a comprehensive suite of career-boosting tools designed just for you. Our free resume review and AI interview prep tool will help you stand out from the crowd. Need more guidance? Dive into our career advice articles for expert tips and insights. And don't forget to check out our salary tools to ensure you're getting paid what you're worth. Side effects may include a new job, increased confidence, and a brighter future. Consult Monster.com today and take the first step towards your new career. Ready for your next job opportunity? Visit Monster.com now.
Globally, humans are facing massive problems that are widely ignored by governments and the media.
Like personal space invaders.
I've had it with these couples that sit on the same side of the booth.
Yak mouths.
Stupid stick figure bumper stickers.
Almond milk. You cannot milk an almond.
Hi, I'm Jennifer.
And I'm Angie.
We call her Pumps, and we're the hosts of I've Had It. Pumps, tell the listener where they can find us.
Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Nailed it.
See you next Tuesday.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 313 of the True Crime All the Time Unsolved podcast. I'm Mike Ferguson, and with me, as always, is my partner in true crime, Mike Gibson. Gibby, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really well.
Yeah.
You and I just got done recording a new TCAT episode that's out right now on Kai McGilvery.
We did.
And a lot of people will either recognize that name or they'll know it once they hear the story. But, you know, Kai was called the hatchet-wielding hitchhiker, and he kind of went viral for, you know, hitting a guy, saving some people, but then later got charged for with murder.
Yeah, turn around on him.
Yeah, Netflix did a thing on him, but it's a good episode. Make sure you check that out. Let's go ahead and give our Patreon shout-outs. Aaron Matthews jumped out at our highest level.
Hey, Aaron.
Heather Smith jumped out at our highest level.
Hey, appreciate that, Heather.
Jessica Bryant jumped out at our highest level.
Thanks, Jessica.
Carolyn Simmons Croft.
There's Carolyn.
Linnea Bethel.
Hey, appreciate that, Linnea.
Hillary Grace.
Hey, hi, Hillary.
You can do hey and hi.
Yeah.
Megan Decker.
What's going on, Megan?
MJ Jenkins.
Well, appreciate that, Jenkins.
Lisa G jumped out at our highest level.
What's up, Lisa?
Rhonda Shaver.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Linda Best.
Hey, Linda.
Emily Ann.
Appreciate that, Emily.
Tamara Wolgamuth.
Hey, that's a tough name. I'll just go with Tamara.
I don't know how close I am. I hope I am. Tabitha Winecoop.
Hey, Tabitha.
Priscilla Schweitzer.
Appreciate that, Schweitzer.
And last but not least, Nosy Rosie.
Thank you, Rosie.
Yep. And then if we go back into the vault, this week we selected Shane McCartney.
Man, awesome, Shane.
Yeah, appreciate the new support, the continued support. We had a great PayPal donation from Ann Kelly.
Yeah, thanks, Ann. I was thinking about that Shane. You remember that movie? Shane.
The really sad one?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Dude. I don't watch that.
When the horse, when he rides away?
Oh, I don't watch that.
No?
No, that's too sad. That's sad stuff. All right, buddy. Are you ready to get into this episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved?
I'm ready.
We are talking about the disappearance of Daniel Robinson in June 2021. Daniel Robinson drove away from a job site in Buckeye, Arizona. Nearly a month later, his car was found in a remote ravine but Daniel Robinson has not been seen of or heard from since the day of his disappearance. So we've got a case that's not that old.
Yeah, pretty
Just
fresh.
2 years old. According to Fox News, Daniel Cornelius Robinson was born on January 14th, 1997. He was 24 years old at the time of his disappearance. Daniel's parents are David Robinson II and Melissa Edmonds. Daniel has an older brother and twin sisters. Daniel was born without his right hand. David Robinson told the Daily Mail, "Some people think that's a handicap, but not Daniel. Daniel is not the type of guy who views that as a handicap. Daniel's mother bought him a prosthetic, but Daniel didn't wear it because he wanted to be himself."
Yeah, he was comfortable in his own skin, the way he was.
Yeah, and isn't that what most people are striving to be? Right? Comfortable with themselves, but it's so hard for many people. A lot of it has to do with what we see on television, what is seen as beauty, or, we're always striving to be something.
Right.
And those people who are able to say, you know what, I'm happy with myself.
Right.
That's a great thing.
It is.
If you can do it. Now, I think it's harder said than done for many people.
It's probably hard on the parents, because I'm sure the parents are like, we just want you to have all your options for you, right?
Yeah. Well, they gave him the option, and he said, you know what? I'm good. Daniel was originally from Columbia, South Carolina. He graduated high school in 2015 and studied geology at the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. He played musical instruments and football and joined a fraternity. David Robinson said he didn't have any problems playing video games. He taught himself how to play the French horn. He taught himself how to play the trombone. He was in a marching band. He earned his way into college and decided on geology in his freshman year.
Man, I love geology.
What is geology?
The study of rocks.
Okay. I thought I was going to catch you there, to be honest with you.
Well, the earth and,
Yeah. I really thought I was going to catch you, and you were not going to know what it is.
I actually took that my freshman year.
But I want to say this. Here is a kid who's doing more than many kids who do not have the limitation that he has. So, you got to really admire him. He's going out, he's doing it all.
Right.
He's playing football, playing multiple instruments. Now, obviously playing video games, because you got to play video games.
Well, you don't have to, but...
No, but I will say, much harder to play video games with one hand.
Well, I think it'd be hard to do a lot of things that he's excelling at.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, I think that's where the admiration is coming on my part, because, a lot of times I feel like people who have it all, they're not taking advantage of it. This he's blowing it out of the water, and he's having to overcome this obstacle to do it, but he's doing it and more. In 2019, Daniel moved to the Phoenix area to work as a hydrogeologist for a company called Matrix New World Engineering. He had worked there for 2 years. At the time of his disappearance, Daniel oversaw well sites in remote desert areas and had to travel long distances for work.
Sounds interesting.
It does sound like an interesting job. I'm also getting a I'll drink your milkshake vibe here.
You're not going to drink my milkshake.
I will drink your milkshake. And for those of you who have seen that movie will know what we're talking about, but it's a great movie. Daniel lived in an apartment in Tempe. One of his sisters lived in Phoenix, but the rest of his family lived across the country in South Carolina. Daniel has been described as a kind person who was always willing to help others when they needed it. He was normally happy and liked to spend time with his friends and family. According to Fox 10 Phoenix, Daniel's family, friends, and coworkers indicated that his behavior before he went missing was not like himself at the time. However, it didn't seem like Daniel wanted to hurt himself or suddenly leave the area.
So we hear that a lot.
We do. David Robinson reported that Daniel was acting strangely in the weeks before he went missing. He made sudden trips without telling his sister. David told the Arizona Republic that the strange behavior got progressively worse leading up to him disappearing. So, going back to your statement, we hear that a lot. It's, this person has kind of been a certain way most of their life or their entire life. And then in the weeks or months or however long leading up to their disappearance, things started to change.
Right. We've noticed this or that.
Yeah. So the question comes in, why?
Yeah.
What was it that was going on in this person's life that caused a change in behavior? Now, people can change their behavior for a lot of reasons.
Sure they can.
Depression sets in, anxiety. I mean, you could tick off all kinds of different things that can cause a change in a person's behavior. But then when they suddenly disappear, well, that change in behavior, automatically becomes magnified.
Right.
Daniel's sister told the police about an instance where he went to her apartment and sat for 30 minutes without saying anything. She tried to talk to him, but he wouldn't respond to her. And then he just left. Okay. It sounds like he got along well with his sister. They spent time together. They did things together. So, I'll put it to you, Gibbs, because you have brothers.
Yeah.
Your brother comes over and sits on your couch for 30 minutes and never says a word. That's going to be odd, right?
It's going to be very odd.
and then all of a sudden gets up and leaves.
Yeah. It's going to be a concern.
Yeah. That's going to, cause your spidey senses to start tingling. Daniel's mother, Melissa, told WATE about her last conversation with Daniel. She said, "We talked and we always end with, 'I love you,' and we'll talk later." Later on that night, Daniel called me again and I was sleeping, and Daniel says, "Hello, Mom. I'm just checking on you and I want you to know I love you and we will talk later." And that's what I'm holding on to. If my son was rational enough to call me and tell me that he's checking on me and that he will call to talk to me later, that's what I'm holding on to.
Well, this is a mom that knows her son,
Mm-hmm.
and she has her own gut feeling about what's happening with her son.
Well, so we have some people saying he's acting strangely, and then we have his mom saying that he said that he would call later, like he always did. So to me, what she's holding on to is that eventually she is going to talk to her son again. Daniel had plans to see his family in July of 2021. According to the Please Help Find Daniel website, Daniel sometimes liked to go to the mountains or to the beach to clear his head. His brother said in an interview with 12 News that he had been making more of these trips than usual before his disappearance. So here's another thing, right? That was either different, or now we're talking about something that he always did, but now he's doing it with more frequency. We just don't know what it means.
Right.
Is he making these trips because he needs to clear his head more because he's got a lot more going on in there? He's got things that are really bothering him. And that's why maybe his behavior is a little different. We just don't know.
It's a pretty good possibility.
No, I think it's a pretty good assumption to make. David Robinson wrote on the Please Help Find Daniel website, Daniel has an innate passion for adventure and is known to travel in opportune moments. However, he always has communicated with family on his travel plans. And again, we kind of see this time and time again. Somebody likes to dash off for the weekend. Okay, nothing wrong with it.
No.
And they have a history of doing it. But more times than not, they always communicate with family. Hey, I'm jetting off to Albuquerque, New Mexico for the weekend. Just want to let you know. Now, all of a sudden they're gone and they haven't communicated anything. So we're actually seeing a number of things that maybe are out of the norm, the normal pattern of behavior for Daniel.
Right.
People said he was acting strangely. He was, taking these kind of trips to clear his head more, and he wasn't communicating with family as much as he normally did. A police report states that Daniel was behaving oddly with a woman he met while working part-time as an Instacart driver. Most news outlets do not use this woman's name, but the Daily Mail reported that her first name is Caitlin. You know what Instacart is?
I do.
Oh, okay.
You?
Use it? Yeah.
Summer uses it all the time.
My wife uses it.
Yeah.
Sometimes for groceries.
Yeah.
Things like that.
It's a good service.
Yeah, it is. Now, the following information comes from Daniel's page on the Missing Persons Center website and a Fox News article. Both outlets reported information found in a police report on the case. According to Fox News, on June 12th, while making a delivery, one of Daniel's customers invited him to hang out at her home with her friend. She said that she and her friend were drunk and shouldn't have invited a stranger into the home. Daniel forgot a canopy outside her home, so they texted him about picking it up.
So I don't know what a canopy is.
No, and the article put it in quotes, and they didn't explain what it was. So I don't know if it had something to do with, his Instacart job. I don't know if it was something he used. I'm not sure. But apparently, this woman told him he could pick it up whenever, but she was uncomfortable when Daniel came to her home without permission while she was away. Daniel started to text her more frequently and allegedly continued to show up unannounced. The police report states that his text started changing. On June 17th, Daniel texted, "I couldn't stop thinking of you." On June 19th, he texted, "Can we hang out?" At 12:14 a.m., he sent a message that said, "I love you." The next morning, he texted the woman again. She responded, "Honestly, you showing up at my house unannounced made me extremely uncomfortable. I will not be home today, but I don't see us hanging out anytime soon." Daniel asked her if she had any doubt. She didn't answer. So I think that's the answer.
That's absolutely the answer.
But I want to go back and kind of look at these series of texts. No doubt it seems as though he was infatuated with this woman.
Sure.
But very quickly, the texts escalate from, "I'm thinking about you. Can't stop thinking about you. I love you."
Right.
In a couple of days, you're jumping all the way to "I love you." You haven't even gone out on a date or anything.
Yeah, you're probably going to creep somebody out with that.
Now, I didn't understand her being uncomfortable as much about him showing up to pick up his item because she said he could come over whenever.
Yeah,
but
that didn't make sense to me.
Maybe it went hand in hand with the text.
Well, then that changes it.
Yeah. So without the text, maybe there's not an uncomfortable feeling, but putting the two together, I don't know. It didn't really spell it out. Daniel texted her the next day. And again, 4 hours later, he said he was outside her house. They continued texting. He asked the woman if she hated him. She responded, "I don't hate you, but please leave me alone." Daniel said, "You're right." So to me, this woman is being very upfront. She's not really beating around the bush. She's not leading him on.
Yeah, she's saying, "I'm not interested.
No.
Please leave me alone."
Yeah, that's exactly what she's saying. What I didn't understand was his response. "You're right."
I think he was saying, "I get it. You want me to leave you alone. You're right. You're right."
Okay. Maybe. I sometimes, the younger generation, I don't understand their text. I don't understand my daughter's text half the time.
Right.
Right?
Right.
You're right. There's a lot of abbreviations and slang, and some of it I don't understand.
Sometimes I make up abbreviations just to throw them out there, just to see if anybody can figure it out.
On June 22nd, Daniel sent one last text to the woman. He said, "The world can get better, but I'll have to take all the time I can, or we can, whatever to name it. I'll either see you again or never see you again." Okay, that to me is very cryptic.
It is.
I don't understand what he's trying to say.
He's saying, "Hey, the world can be a better place by myself or with us together."
Really? I didn't get that from that. I don't.
Whichever way you want to go, with me or without me.
Okay, you're getting something out of it that I actually didn't. But
and either I'll see you again, or I guess maybe I won't.
Yeah, that's kind of redundant because
exactly.
everyone you meet, you're either going to see them again or you're not.
Right. It's just a given.
Yeah. So I don't know. David Robinson told Fox that when he talked to Daniel 1 to 2 days before he went missing, he mentioned the woman. He brought it up to the police when Daniel went missing. David said that when the police spoke with him about what the woman reported, he said that concerned me a lot. If he's making someone feel uncomfortable, that wouldn't fly right with me. And I understand what he's saying. I don't have a son, but if I had a son, I sure as heck wouldn't want him to make women feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, there's a right way of doing things and a wrong way.
It's very much like I'll either see you or I won't see you.
Exactly.
There's a right way or a wrong way.
Well, they used to say, I'll see you when I see you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Or I won't see you when I don't see you. In the weeks before his disappearance, Daniel talked to friends and family about this woman. He told his sister that he was in love with her and ultimately made it sound as if they were in a relationship together, according to the police report. So again, like I said with the text, it's like he went from 0 to 100.
Right.
Ending in 2 days with like, I love you.
Either nothing really happened, but he thought there was something there, or something happened and then he got the brush off, but the brush off was never actually reported or known. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like something happened, maybe that person felt, not interested anymore.
Yeah. I mean, she did admit she was drunk when he was at the house. We don't know if anything happened between them or not, but
he's like, I love you. That's big.
Yeah, but then she made it very clear. Not only did she not love him, she didn't really want to see him. Right. She, they weren't going to hang out.
Leave me alone. Yeah.
But then, he's telling his sister that he's in love with this woman and making it sound like they're in a relationship. Daniel Robinson was last seen on the morning of June 23rd, 2021, leaving a job site near Cactus Road and Sun Valley Parkway in Buckeye, Arizona. Daniel was last seen by his co-worker, Ken Elliott, at a job site in the desert around 9:15 a.m. This was their first time meeting, and they were assessing a remote drill site, according to the Independent. Kenneth reported that Daniel was acting strangely that morning. It was raining, so they waited for the weather to clear up before they got to work. At first, Daniel seemed normal, but a few minutes later, his behavior changed. Elliott told the Independent he was just looking off into the desert. He had a very, very distant look in his eyes. Whenever he'd turn around again, I would look at him and look into his eyes. The first thing I thought was maybe it was drugs or something, but his pupils weren't dilated.
Yeah, it's interesting. What was causing that, I don't know. Maybe he was just heartbroken.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things we don't know. The one thing I think we can say for sure is that he was acting differently. There's too many people saying it. There's too many reports about, specific behavior that people said were odd. Daniel asked Ken if he wanted to go home to Phoenix to rest. According to the Missing Persons Center, Ken thought the storm would pass, so he decided to stay. Daniel left the job site about 15 minutes later. According to the police report, Ken saw Daniel wave to him as if he was waving goodbye. Daniel didn't say anything, walked over to his Jeep and drove away from the area. He was last seen driving south on the dirt road from the job site. Daniel was driving a 2017 blue-gray Jeep Renegade and is believed to have gone west, deeper into the desert. Buckeye Police Chief Larry Hall told Dateline Missing in America when Daniel was leaving, the main access road to get into the job site is east of the location, and he said that Daniel went west, which is concerning because there's nothing out there.
Yeah, you're putting yourself at risk by driving out that way.
It's not like where we live here in Ohio.
Right.
You take a wrong turn. Okay, you're going to come across a gas station, you could get directions, you can get something to drink.
Sure you can.
You take a wrong turn out in the desert,
you're screwed. Man.
Yeah, you could be.
Yeah. You don't have enough water with you, enough shade.
And, it might loom large as we go through this episode. Ken contacted their project manager, who said no one had seen or heard from Daniel throughout the day. At 3 p.m., Ken learned that Daniel had not been found and wasn't answering anyone's calls or texts. He searched the desert by following Daniel's tire tracks. He went west and drove into an extremely large desert area. And a lot of times we talk about searches, through woods or, things like that. And when you talk about like vast desert areas,
yeah,
I get it. You have tire tracks and you have some things like that. But if the wind's kicking up, how long does it take for those to, kind of blow away or cover up? Daniel was reported missing around 7 p.m. The police searched the job site that evening, and Daniel's information was entered into a national missing persons database. So they didn't mess around on that front. Daniel's brother, David Colley Robinson, told the Arizona Republic that they learned Daniel was missing hours after he left the job site. One of Daniel's friends drove to Phoenix to tell their sister Daniel was missing. David wasn't sure how long Daniel was supposed to be at the job site, but he said that Daniel took his job seriously and wouldn't leave early. He said he's not one to just up and leave just because. It just struck us as weird in the moment because there's really no explanation.
And that's always tough. If it's not their typical character, then you start thinking, what was going on? What happened? The one coworker thought maybe he was on drugs, but his eyes didn't show that he was on drugs, but he was acting as if he was.
And you have this scenario often when someone vanishes and you're trying, I think, as the family, to explain something that can't be explained. There's no explanation. That's what they said. True Crime All the Time Unsolved is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Most of you listening right now are probably multitasking. Yep, while you're listening to Gibby and I talk, you're probably also driving, cleaning, exercising, or maybe even grocery shopping. But if you're not in some kind of moving vehicle, there's something else you can be doing right now. Getting an auto quote from Progressive Insurance. It's easy, and you could save money by doing it right from your phone. Drivers who save by switching to Progressive save nearly $700 on average. And auto customers qualify for an average of 7 discounts. Discounts for having multiple vehicles on your policy, being a homeowner, and more. So just like your favorite podcast, Progressive will be with you 24/7, 365 days a year, so you're protected no matter what. Multitask right now. Quote your car insurance at Progressive.com to join the over 29 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $698 by new customer survey who saved with Progressive between June 2021 and May 2022. Potential savings will vary. Discounts not available in all states and situations. Angie's List is now Angie, and they've made it easier than ever to get all your home projects done right. My wife and I used Angie a couple of months ago to get some work done around the house. It couldn't have been easier. I went to the website, typed in what type of work I wanted done, and we got matched up with a great company, and we were very happy with the results. Angie has over 20 years of home service experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Just bring them your project online or with the Angie app, answer a few questions, and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you see ratings and reviews, compare quotes from local pros, and connect instantly, which means you can cross things off your to-do list in just a few taps. Because whether it's routine maintenance or a dream remodel, Angie is here to make it easy. So get your next project done with the help of a pro from Angie. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com. Ever since I can remember, laundry detergent has always come in those big plastic jugs. They're inconvenient, not easy to pour all the time, and they end up in landfills and oceans, which we know is not good for our planet. There's a better way. My new Earth Breeze laundry detergent Echo Sheets are amazing. They look like dryer sheets, but they're not. These are a revolutionary liquidless laundry detergent that dissolves 100% in any wash cycle, hot or cold. So you don't have to measure. You're not going to spill anything. There's no mess. And you don't have to lug those big heavy jugs. Just toss the sheet in. The Echo Sheets are hypoallergenic and dermatologist tested, so they're good even for sensitive skin. And they're compatible with high efficiency washers and septic safe. And they're delivered right to your door via free carbon neutral shipping at a frequency that you can set so it works for you. But most importantly, you still get a powerful clean. Earth Breeze is tough on stains, fights odors, and your clothes come out clean every time. So don't just take my word for it. You can try for yourself with their risk-free 100% satisfaction guarantee. If you don't like it, Earth Breeze will give you a full refund, no questions asked, and no return necessary. Switch from the old-fashioned goo to something new. Right now, our listeners can subscribe to Earth Breeze and save 40%. Go to earthbreeze.com/TCAT to get started. That's earthbreeze.com/TCAT for 40% off. earthbreeze.com/TCAT. Another search took place the next day. Investigators were unable to access Daniel's phone location or GPS data. The Tempe police also checked Daniel's apartment. On July 6th, the Buckeye police searched Daniel's apartment and did a ground search near the job site. On the 9th, the Buckeye police released new information in Daniel's case. His location data was not available because his phone was off or out of range. Part of the Buckeye police statement read, detectives obtained limited call detail records, and it did not appear that Daniel made any calls or texts after leaving the site. That same day, the Arizona Civil Air Patrol and Buckeye police searched the air and ground, but Daniel and his vehicle were not found.
Well, I get it, man. The air patrol is the way to go. Probably out in the desert, you can cover much more area.
So I just want to make sure I understand you. Are you telling me that you can cover more area in the air than you can by ground? Because that is earth-breaking, shattering stuff, man.
I'll tell you, I went to school for this stuff.
You know, you learn something every day. On July 19th, 2021, a rancher found Daniel's Jeep a little more than 2.5 miles from the work site in a remote ravine. After finding Daniel's vehicle, the police did a ground search and used a helicopter and search and rescue dogs. The Buckeye police said that the Jeep had significant damage and was not visible to search crews because of the terrain. So you mentioned, you know, how valuable air searches are, and they really are. They can cover a lot of ground. I know I was giving you a hard time, but they can only do so much.
Sure.
You know, if we're talking about a remote ravine, obviously it just couldn't be seen from the air.
The old saying, what? Looking for a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. Daniel's vehicle appeared to have rolled and landed on its passenger side. The airbags deployed, and the sunroof panel looked like it was kicked out. There was evidence that suggested Daniel was wearing a seatbelt. Daniel's orange construction vest, boots, and jeans, which had Daniel's wallet in them, were on the ground. His cell phone, backpack, laptop, and apartment keys were found in the Jeep. Daniel's t-shirt and jeans were turned inside out. Investigators also found mismatched black socks, one Nike and one Adidas. Another black Nike sock was found 3 miles away by a private investigator. So, you know, we've got this Jeep that rolled, but to me, it's what's inside and on the ground around the Jeep that is really perplexing. I mean, first of all, it sounds like his clothing was found, t-shirt and jeans turned inside out, wallet, cell phone, keys to his apartment, you know, things that if you were in an accident and the Jeep wasn't functional and you had to walk, number one, you're going to want clothes.
Sure you are.
But you're also going to want to take your wallet, your cell phone, your keys. You're going to want to take that stuff with you. And what do you make of the t-shirt and jeans being turned inside out?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's almost like, did he have to take them off in a hurry and just pulled them off?
Or did someone else take them off? Because to me, you know, when I take off my jeans, I just slide them down and kind of step out of them.
Yeah, unless you're wearing your skinny jeans.
Oh, then I have to call you and you come over.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable. Yeah.
I don't like it either. But my jeans are never really turned inside out. But if somebody were to pull them from the top down,
Right.
you could see how maybe they would get turned inside out.
Absolutely.
Not saying it happened, but it's possible. Investigators ruled out foul play, though, due to the state of Daniel's vehicle, but they declined to elaborate on how they ruled it out, according to the Arizona Republic. And that's always tough in these type of cases. You know, when they make these rulings that are so significant, but don't provide the information as to how they came to that conclusion, well, we're just left to wonder.
Yeah, you kind of wanted some insight on that.
But I get it. They can't give us everything. But I think in this situation, it's perplexing given, you know, what we just talked about, being left at the scene of the Jeep. Rancher Brandon Shelton was the one who found the vehicle at the bottom of the 20-foot ravine. His cattle graze in a 14,000 acre area. He told the Daily Mail that he was convinced the car had only been in the ravine for a short time because it was clean and my cows would have found it. Cows are inquisitive creatures and would have licked it.
Strange statement, but I get what he's saying.
I get it too. Well, I'm assuming this licking would have been evident. Dirty is what he's saying. He thought it was strange how one of Daniel's boots was stuck under the vehicle and said, if you were delirious and ripped off all your clothes and wandered into the desert, you wouldn't stick one of your shoes under the car. My personal theory is that someone deliberately wrecked that vehicle out there. Okay. Everybody's got a theory. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But I will say this, just looking at everything so far on the surface, this ruling out of the foul play has got me a little vexed. I got to be honest.
Sure it does. I mean, I guess you could say, you know, his one coworker said, oh, he looked like he might have been on drugs. He drove off, maybe whatever. If he was on some type of drug, maybe he got out there and started hallucinating or whatever and ripped his clothes off and just decided to walk out into the desert.
Maybe. You could also make the argument that he got hurt in the crash.
Sure.
Maybe hit his head, something like that.
Possible.
And that caused him to do some things that don't seem all that rational.
Right.
On July 21st, investigators downloaded crash data from the Jeep and extracted data from Daniel's cell phone. Jeff McGrath, a private investigator from 3 Law Recon Investigations, had been hired by Daniel's family. McGrath told 12 News, immediately when I saw the vehicle, I noticed something wasn't right with it. The damage didn't match with the terrain and where it was laying. McGrath downloaded the vehicle's information from the airbag control module and learned that the Jeep was started 46 times after the airbags were deployed. McGrath told 12 News, that's not normal. We usually see 1 or 2 because it adds 1 when we download the box.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was something that could be tracked, downloaded. So the airbags deployed, which means the crash occurred, and then someone tried to start the vehicle 46 different times.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's excessive.
But again, if you're not in kind of your right mind,
right,
whether it's because of a substance or the crash, injuries sustained in the crash, maybe you don't even realize how many times you've done it. You just know, I got to get this thing started so I can get the heck out of here.
Keep trying. The
airbag control module records the vehicle speed after the airbags are deployed. It showed that there were 11 miles on the car after the airbags deployed. According to the ACM system, the collision took place around 1 p.m., about 4 hours after Daniel was last seen. Okay, so this is, again, interesting information. Stuff I didn't know that they could get, from a car. 11 miles on the car.
After
the airbags deployed. So what does that mean? The car was driven 11 miles?
Yeah. So the airbag deployed, the driver deflated the airbag and kept on going?
Because you're not going to go 11 miles after you've been hurt with the airbag deployed.
No.
I mean, the car is not going to coast or, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what to make of that information. The computer inside the car indicated that Daniel's seatbelt was engaged at the time of the crash, but it didn't give a date or time. On July 29th, volunteer searchers found a skull in an area south of where the Jeep was found. The Buckeye PD released a statement on September 16th stating that a human skull found in the area of the Jeep was not Daniel Robinson. The statement also said no other human remains had been found, despite online reports claiming otherwise. Okay, so the skull didn't belong to Daniel Robinson, but it belonged to someone.
Yeah, are they doing anything about that? And I think for the family, it probably was a little bit of a roller coaster.
Oh, I would say, a real roller coaster, especially when you find the skull, because you got to be extremely worried at that point. And then it comes back as not being Daniel.
Right.
My thought is not hard to identify if it is Daniel's, because you can get his dental records. But if you just got a skull and no idea who it may belong to, I could see where that might be tough.
Yeah.
In the days, weeks, and months after Daniel went missing, his family became frustrated and upset by the police investigation. Daniel's father created a website called pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, which we've already talked about. He also created a GoFundMe page to raise money for the investigation. David Robinson moved to Arizona after Daniel was reported missing. He wrote on the fundraiser page that he intends to stay until we have answers to bring Daniel home safely.
There's a loving dad right there, man.
Yeah. And, we have talked about it before, but my thought is when your child goes missing, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if you have other children, you got to take care of them.
Sure you do.
But outside of that, taking care of yourself and taking care of your other children, nothing else matters but trying to find your lost child.
Yeah, I think most parents in that situation would be all in.
I think we talked on Patreon that my wife and I are watching this show called Missing.
Right.
And you really get a sense because they span like maybe 8 or 9 years from the time that this couple lose their child. The father, he never gives up.
Yeah.
He is just
relentless.
And his life just revolves around nothing but trying to find his boy. The fundraiser money has been used to hire a private investigator, print flyers, conduct searches, and cover hotel expenses to allow David Robinson to remain in Arizona. This GoFundMe page titled Please Help Find Daniel has raised a little over $350,000.
Wow.
And is still active.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah. So, people are willing to help.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Whether it's giving their time to volunteer to search for missing people, whether it's donating money, deep down, people are good.
Yeah,
man. And they want to help you in any way they can. I should say the majority of people. I can't say all people are good, obviously, because we talk about a lot of people who are not good.
Well, that's true.
In September 2021, the Robinson family created a petition regarding Daniel's case. The petition calls for the missing person investigation to be changed to a criminal investigation, which would allow the police to seek warrants based on any evidence they obtain. The petition also states that 7 searches took place that led to the recovery of the remains of 6 people, but not Daniel Robinson. This petition is titled Justice for Daniel Robinson and can be found on change.org. It's still open for signatures. So again, they found the remains of 6 people, which is a little scary.
It is scary. It's out in the desert, right?
It is. No context as to who these people, are, what they were doing, nothing like that, but it's a little scary. According to NPR, David Robinson has alleged that he has done more to find Daniel than law enforcement. In the online petition, David wrote that the Buckeye police were unwilling to move beyond their theory, which leads to non-action on their part. Daniel's family believes the police took too long to start the search in earnest, they requested a helicopter search on June 24th, but it wasn't approved until June 25th. The Tempe police checked Daniel's apartment on June 24th, but didn't go inside. No officers went inside the apartment until July 7th. According to the Missing Persons Center, the Civil Air Patrol was not contacted until July 7th. So, the one thing that I will say is I don't know how many families of missing persons are 100% satisfied with the efforts of law enforcement.
Yeah, I think it's hard to be completely satisfied unless they find your missing one.
Right, because, we're talking about an unsolved case, which means, he's not been found. So how can you believe that they've done enough?
Yeah, I mean, the reality is you want them to use every resource possible for as long as possible.
Yeah,
but
and that just can't always happen.
Yeah, it's just not in the cards.
On September 23rd, 2001, the Buckeye police released portions of a 54-page report on the case in the interest of transparency. Police Chief Larry Hall said they were committed to finding Daniel. The Buckeye police said their ongoing activities included conducting interviews with new people who have been identified in the investigation, checking for fraud linked to Daniel's social security number and bank accounts, and investigating information from private investigators.
So according to them, they're working on some leads.
According to the Arizona Republic, David Robinson said that the department was taking credit from work done by volunteers and the PI he hired. So again, they're not happy.
No.
With everything that's been done. It sounds like there's a little bit of friction, which can often be the case. If not in the beginning, it seems like it develops over time because there's frustration.
Yeah. As that frustration builds, of course, it's going to turn out that way.
Daniel's case was reported by local media as early as July 9th, according to CNN. David Robinson feels that Daniel's case didn't get the necessary amount of media coverage. At the time of Daniel's disappearance, the Gabby Petito case was ongoing and was receiving widespread national attention. Many families of missing people of color felt frustrated that their loved ones were not receiving the same media coverage. David Robinson told CNN, "You wish you lived in a world where everything was equal, but it's really not equal."
I hear him.
I hear him too. Now, we didn't come out and say that Daniel Robinson is black because we don't do that normally in the cases that we profile, right, unless we're giving a description of an individual, because it doesn't matter. But the reason why we're pointing it out here is because his father doesn't feel as though he received adequate news coverage. You and I have talked about it many times. The disparity in media coverage has been pretty apparent over the years. Now, we don't always know what makes some cases more high profile than others. That Gabby Petito case exploded.
It did.
It was all over the news. Was it necessarily because she was white? I don't know that to be the case. Sometimes it's just the factors involved and the fact that, he wasn't saying much and all that. But no doubt, when you look at the coverage, there seems to be a problem.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's really hard to ignore. I mean, the facts, they kind of smack you right in the face. So I understand exactly what he's saying. Now, at the same time, every family of a missing individual wants more coverage. But you'd be frustrated too if you weren't getting any and these other cases were, soaking it all in, taking away from getting information out about your child.
Yeah, I mean, if I turn on the TV and they're talking about every missing person but my kid, I'm going to have a problem with that.
David told CNN that he believes if Daniel were white, the police would work harder to find him. He said, "It bothers me and it upset me that my son being missing is not important. It's not urgent and hasn't gotten much attention. I've lost faith in the Buckeye Police Department." Assistant Chief Bob Sanders told CNN that the officers covered all of our bases in the search. They followed up on leads, interviewed coworkers, friends, and relatives, and reviewed evidence. Sanders said, Daniel is a member of our community, and we are committed to finding him. We relate to him. David Robinson is a father, and we're trying to give him closure one way or the other. So I think what I want to talk about here is the difference between what the media picks up on and the coverage that they give a case versus the police. Because I don't think those are always the same.
No, of course they can be different.
The media is going to pick up on what they pick up on, what they think is going to grab people's attention. And sometimes it's based on the different facets of the case. They're more intriguing, I guess.
They like to sensationalize things.
Well, they do, and in some cases are easier to sensationalize than others. But there's no doubt that David, because he came out and said it, if my son was white, the police would have worked harder to find him. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I can't say that. But I do know that that's the way he felt.
Well, it's not the first time loved ones of missing people have levied that.
No, we've covered other cases, not just the media. They've levied it against police as well. According to the Arizona Republic, David Robinson and Jeff McGrath believe the methods used by the police to rule out foul play to be insufficient. And you and I kind of struggled with it as well. Number one, we didn't have all the ins and outs of it at that point. David Robinson said in a YouTube live stream that he believes there are discrepancies in the timeline of Daniel's morning on June 23rd. He spoke with a coworker who gave a different version of events from the officer initially assigned to the case. David said he reported the discrepancies to the police department. He also said he believes that his son's phone records should have been looked at more closely. Santan Recon, a consulting agency for collisions, processed the crash scene on September 28, 2001 to make an independent crash report. On the 28th and the 30th, the police also did more ground searches. Santan Recon issued their report on October 18th. The Buckeye PD released the findings of the crash report on November 3rd. The following information comes from that report. Daniel's Jeep Renegade was involved in a rollover crash. It was the only crash recorded on the vehicle's internal systems. Speed increased right before impact, which could indicate an attempt to drive up the other side of the ravine. More than 40 ignition cycles were recorded after the crash. This could be due to the driver's attempts to restart the vehicle or use the electrical systems. It's unclear how many cycles occurred during tow recovery and when investigators downloaded data. So we did talk about, they threw out a number like 46 cycles or ignitions. An 11-mile discrepancy between the crash data report and the displayed odometer reading is not considered unusual. Similar discrepancies have been noted by Jeep dealership service departments and other crash reconstructionists. So that's pretty interesting because, when we were kind of analyzing it, that seemed like a big deal.
Yeah, we really thought, man, that's a pretty good gap in miles.
11 miles after the airbags deployed. According to Oxygen, Daniel's airbags deployed 11 miles before his final odometer reading. The crash report points to a rollover crash and an attempt to drive up the other side of the ravine. The police report said that Daniel's car rolled over in the ravine at 30 miles per hour. Jeff McGrath, the family's PI, who was formerly a detective that specialized in modeling crashes, said this was impossible. He previously told the Arizona Republic that could not have happened with the physics we work with here on Earth. There is no way this car flipped over. He added, if Daniel's Jeep rolled over, the top would be damaged and all the windows would have shattered. A large crunch on the driver's side suggested a collision, not a rollover. He said he didn't understand how the police missed other factors like the Jeep odometer reading being 11 miles higher than what it was when the airbags deployed and the ignition being activated 46 times after the crash. Okay, I don't really understand what he means there. I don't think they missed it. I think, was he saying that they didn't make out of it what he thinks they should have made out of it?
That's the way I take it.
Yeah. I don't know what to make out of it. But, of course, I'm not an expert.
Well, I don't even know if the experts know what to make out of it.
Well, we have one expert who's saying that kind of discrepancy apparently is not unusual in a Jeep. They've seen that in other Jeeps crashes. Additionally, a plate of broken glass found nearby didn't match the Jeep. So, based on this evidence, McGrath said that he believes the crash was staged. According to News Nation Now, David Robinson thinks that Daniel would have taken his phone with him after the Jeep crashed. Jeff McGrath said he does not think Daniel was even in the vehicle. Okay, now we're getting some different theories.
Yeah, maybe someone stole the vehicle from him and headed off in the desert.
Or maybe somebody took Daniel.
Yeah.
Did something to him, but then staged, this crash in his Jeep to make it look as though he rolled it over and then he just walked out in the desert.
Right.
But we even said earlier, who wouldn't take their cell phone? Keys. Some of the stuff he left behind was very strange. Unless he was so disoriented that he didn't really know what he was doing.
Or forced,
yeah. McGrath noted how red paint had transferred on the right side of the Jeep, but there was no red paint in the area, which indicated to him that the vehicle didn't crash there. He told the outlet its last place of rest was here, but something was going on with that vehicle.
Yeah, well, you have to ask, where did the collision with something red occur? If he didn't have that red paint transfer on his Jeep at that time when he was at the job site.
Well, how do we know he didn't?
Well, we don't.
See, that's the thing. You're going down that road, and my mind is saying, how do we know that crash, some kind of scrape didn't happen 2 or 3 weeks before?
Or that morning of.
Or the morning of, yeah. We don't know. But I think where they're going is there was some type of either accident or non-accident where somebody crashed into him and then either panicked or deliberately got rid of Daniel somehow and then staged the Jeep crash. Joseph Catone, owner and reconstructionist for Santan Recon, said the evidence does not support the theory that the Jeep crashed in a different location. He told NBC he went out, drove into the desert, and went down that ravine. He confirmed that he did not have access to the Jeep, but used crash scene photos and visited the crash site twice. Catone and the police were told by employees at Jeep dealerships that this discrepancy with the odometer was common. This was also present with other vehicles. So, like we have in every case, we have people at odds with each other and their theories and what they're using to back them up. On June 25th, 2022, David Robinson hosted a day of remembrance at the Arizona State Capitol House and Senate lawn. The event provided an opportunity for people to share information about their missing loved ones. A desert search was also planned for that morning near Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road, where Daniel was last seen. In a statement on February 21st, 2023, the Buckeye police said that their recent search on the 18th yielded no clues. The search was meant to readdress key locations in the desert area where Daniel was last seen. The police were assisted by the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office and utilized canine units, drones, and ATV and ground crews.
It seems like they're making an effort here.
They are. I mean, we're almost 2 years on. They can't be thinking that they're going to find Daniel Robinson alive out in the desert.
No, this has got to be recovery mode.
Yes. The statement also said that on January 27th of this year, the police were alerted to the possibility of human remains inside a well that had already been searched a half-mile north of where Daniel was last seen. On February 9th, the police worked with a contractor to scope the well. On the 13th, another contractor excavated the well almost 1,000 feet and found no human remains. On January 7th of 2023, human remains were found near Johnson Road and Southern Avenue. But these remains were identified as belonging to 35-year-old Juan Fierro. So it does seem like they are finding a number of human remains.
They are, just not of Daniel.
No, they're just not finding anything belonging to Daniel. The Arizona Republic reported that Carissa Planall, a Buckeye PD spokesperson, said detectives were using technology to develop a clearer picture of Daniel Robinson's activities leading up to his disappearance. They were also searching the desert as needed and communicating with the family regularly. So, I mean, I think at this point, the police are doing all the right things, or saying all the right things. Now, is Daniel's family happy? Probably not. I don't think they have been throughout this entire saga.
Yeah, and I don't know if they ever will be unless they can find their son.
Yeah, I think you're right. Daniel's family planned another public search of the desert on February 25th, 2023. In April, David Robinson used social media outlets to organize a mail-in protest to try to get Daniel's case moved to the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office.
Not a bad idea. It's going to go to a bigger law enforcement group. Maybe they have more resources.
Yeah, I would say they definitely have more resources, but I think it also just kind of adds into his feeling about the Buckeye PD and what they've done. Right or wrong. I mean, that's the way he feels. There's just no doubt about it. He's not happy with them.
And that's his right.
In addition to all his previous efforts, David Robinson established the Daniel Robinson Foundation to help other families with missing loved ones. David wrote on the Please Help Find Daniel website, the Daniel Robinson Foundation will make distressed families' goal to find their loved ones a little less painful, while narrowing the gap that people of color face. Every family deserves equal treatment, no matter who they are. The Daniel Robinson Foundation will do its part to provide help for families who experience this injustice. So, I mean, obviously, I agree with that.
Sure.
And I know you do as well. Every family deserves equal treatment. Every missing person deserves equal treatment, no matter who they are. My question here is, aside from the media, because the media kind of does its own thing.
Right.
When it comes to the actual police work that was done, was there less done because Daniel was a person of color? I can't answer that question. What I can say, and what I think is without question, is that that's what his father believes, and that's what his family believes. Now, we do know it happens.
We do.
All the time. Did it happen in this case? If you visit pleasehelpfinddaniel.com, you can find links to donate, volunteer to search, sign the petition, read about the case, view social media profiles, and submit tips. There is a $10,000 reward for information, according to a November 2021 article by KKTV. A page detailing the investigation on buckeyeaz.gov states about Daniel's case. At this time, foul play is not suspected. So, to me, that's the biggest area where law enforcement and Daniel's family and the PI that they hired differ.
Right.
They're all in on foul play, the family and
Sure.
the PI, where the police have ruled it out. PI Jeff McGrath told the Daily Mail that he believes someone crashed Daniel's car in the desert. He believes that Daniel came to work extremely tired because he was upset about being rejected by Caitlin and went on an all-night video game binge. Daniel decided to drive into the desert to take a nap. And at that point, according to McGrath, he said, I think somebody, not a good person, found him. I can't imagine what they did with him, but I believe his vehicle was crashed a couple of times. And then its final rest was at the bottom of that ravine.
It's a theory.
It's a theory, and that's really all it is.
This is when you wish that they had some type of eyewitness that could kind of tie something to it.
Yeah. I mean, they're just trying to make sense of it. But I don't know, really what they have to back that up.
Yeah.
What does Jeff McGrath have in the way of, hard facts to back up that theory? And I don't know what it is. I get the red paint. What does it mean? I go back to, the stuff that was found in the car, outside of the car. All of it's very strange to me.
Sure.
I'll admit that.
Maybe it was one of those places that people like to go four-wheeling, and maybe one Jeep collided into his Jeep, and
you think maybe they got scared?
Things happen. Or
that they were going to, be blamed for
an accidental collision death or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah, but you can take this one in a bunch of different directions. Yeah. And, to me, that's what makes some of these unsolved cases fascinating and tragic, obviously, at the same time. But I don't even know which way to lean in this one. And that's kind of unusual because, normally I lean one way or the other towards something.
Yeah.
Because I can make a case for foul play. I could also make a case that, like you said, he was out driving, clearing his head, maybe trying to climb something that he shouldn't have tried. It went bad. He got hurt, was disoriented, and walked out somewhere and perished. Now, I'm still struggling to explain the inside out clothes. Did he take his clothes off because he was hurt, disoriented? Would most people do that? I wouldn't think so,
right.
But who knows?
We don't know.
Daniel Robinson is described as a black male, 5'8", with black hair and brown eyes. Daniel has no right forearm or hand. If you have any information about Daniel's case, you can call the Buckeye Police Department tip line at 623-349-6411 or submit a tip on their website. June 2023 will mark 2 years since Daniel went missing. And we talked about police kind of ruling out foul play or not suspecting foul play. I get the sense, from the research that we did, that many people feel that when you look at all of the circumstances surrounding his disappearance, obviously they're strange, but then, even more so, they're suspicious.
Sure. I just hope David continues his fight for the right answers.
Yeah. I don't think he'll give up, but at the same time, he's also doing some amazing work helping other families, which you often see in some of these cases. Yes, he wants to find his son, but he's going further. He's helping other families. He wants to make sure that families of missing people of color get the same treatment.
Yeah, maybe he can save them some headaches.
Yeah.
Some obstacles.
Well, he doesn't want them to go through what he went through or what he felt like he went through. I mean,
so he can give them guidance.
Yeah. But that's it for our episode on Daniel Robinson. We got some voicemails, Gibbs. You want to check those out?
Let's hear them.
What's up, guys? It's Jacob from Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm from Jennings, Louisiana, and I found y'all looking up podcasts that cover the Jennings 8, and I've been listening ever since. One thing, though, I just finished episode 117 of True Crime All the Time, and someone sent y'all a king cake, and I think it was Mike that said, if you find a baby, that's good luck. Yes, it is good luck, but actually, if you find the baby, that means you have to buy the cake for next year. Just a little fun fact. Love y'all podcast, love y'all's energy and teamwork, and y'all just fit so well together. All right, y'all have a good day and keep your own time too.
And you found the baby, but yet every year you make me buy that cake.
No, I was just getting ready to say, you know who will never find the baby, even if they actually did find the baby? Mr. Mike Gibson.
I just put it back in.
Yeah, you would just shove it in somewhere.
I eat around it and push it back in.
You ain't buying no king cake the next year. I actually haven't had one in a couple of years.
Yeah.
I need to get one.
Yeah.
Because they are so good. They are so good. But they're so different depending on where you get them from.
Yeah.
I've noticed that because I've purchased a number of them.
Hey, guys. I just wanted to call and tell y'all I love you so much. That is all. Bye.
Short and sweet, to the point, and I love it.
We do.
We love you too. We appreciate you very, very much.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Gibby. My name is Paige. I'm calling from Columbus, Ohio. Just want to let you guys know I absolutely love the podcast. I am a second-time Patreon supporter. Still haven't heard my shout-out, though, but that's okay. I get it. Y'all are busy. Totally fine. Just want to let you guys know I love y'all and keep up the good work. Thanks. Bye.
All right. So she's close. She's not too far from us at all.
Yeah.
I don't know when you signed up this most recent time. We're running about 3 weeks behind. So
Yeah. Hopefully you get that shout out because we normally do those. We don't leave them hanging.
no, I go through every one. Now, if you signed up and then signed up again, I think it counts it, but I have to look. I'll have to look.
I was thinking when she said Paige from Columbus, I'm thinking, wait a minute, my sister-in-law is Paige from Columbus, but I would know.
I think you would know. All right, buddy. That is it for another episode of True Crime All the Time Unsolved. So for Mike
and Gibby,
stay safe and keep your own time ticking.
See what's streaming free all month long during Amplify AAPI Voices on Pluto TV. Watch shows like Kim's Convenience with Simu Liu and amazing movies like Meet the Patels and Jason Momoa in Braven. Plus, Pluto TV has hundreds of channels with thousands more movies and TV shows available on live and on demand. Download Pluto TV on all your favorite devices for free. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.